you are waiting for something that will never arrive, not because circumstances will prevent it, not because fate conspires against you, but because the future you are waiting for does not exist as a location you will eventually reach. It is a fiction your mind generates to organize experience within matter. Time is not a cosmic law, not a river flowing from past through present into future, not a dimension in which events occur. Time is a perceptual grid, an artifact of embodied consciousness that emerges only when awareness contracts and identifies with the body, memory, and expectation. Strip away that identification, and something shocking reveals itself. The past and future are not places consciousness moves between. They are states of information coexisting in an eternal present. What we call before and after is the mind attempting to sequence what in essence occurs simultaneously. The soul does not move through time. Time emerges when consciousness forgets what it is, contracts into form, identifies with limitation, begins the story of becoming. Outside that contraction, no duration, no waiting, only absolute presence reorganizing itself into forms. Mystical states, lucid dreams, expansive experiences dissolve the internal clock, not because time stops, but because it ceases to be necessary. When consciousness remembers its non-local nature, time reveals its true function, not a cosmic law, but a pedagogical veil that vanishes as soon as it ceases to be believed. The recognition that time is consciousness dependent rather than cosmically absolute appears across every tradition that achieved direct perception rather than intellectual speculation. Each approached the mechanism from a different angle, revealing distinct facets of how the temporal illusion operates. The Upanishads teach that Brahman is the true being, the ultimate reality, and consciousness is infinite. Therefore, time cannot apply to the infinite. Temporal measurement requires boundaries. The infinite has no boundaries. Therefore, time is a phenomenon of the finite, a limited perspective, the perspective of embodied consciousness that has forgotten its identity with the timeless Brahman. Buddhist philosophy distinguishes between the conventional truth and the ultimate truth. Time belongs to conventional truth, a useful designation for organizing experience that does not correspond to ultimate reality. Nagarjuna's analysis demonstrates time's conceptual nature. The past no longer exists, the future does not yet exist, and the present has no duration. It collapses immediately into past. Time as a continuously existing thing is logically incoherent. What we call time is the concept of sequence, not an actual substance or dimension. Zen Buddhism's emphasis on just this moment is not motivational rhetoric, but recognition of ontological fact. Only the present is real, and even present is a designation, not a thing. Consciousness in its natural state is non-local, timeless, whole. It does not experience itself as a separate entity located in space and time. When consciousness identifies with a body, contracts into the perspective, I am this form, temporal experience immediately emerges. Bodies exist in space and change over time. They are born, age, die. Once consciousness identifies with the body, it inherits the body's temporality. I was young. I am middle-aged. I will grow old. Becomes the narrative framework organizing the experience. This identification is so complete that the timelessness of consciousness is forgotten. The self does not remember that it is consciousness identified with form. It believes it is the form. moving through time from birth toward death. Jiddu Krishnamurti made the crucial distinction. There are two kinds of time. Chronological time, the measurement of physical processes, planetary rotation, biological aging, causality, is necessary and real within the domain of form. But psychological time, the self's projection into past and future, is entirely fictitious. The self exists only in the psychological time. I is a narrative constructed from memory, what I was, and anticipation of what I will become. Krishnamurti taught that the mind projects itself backward into memory I was and forward into expectation I will be. And this projection is the self. Strip away both projections and there is only presence. No self navigating time. Only awareness. Here. Now. Complete. Memory is not evidence that the past exists. Memory is a present moment phenomenon, neural patterns firing now, producing the experience of having experienced something before. The past does not exist anywhere except as present moment memory. When you recall yesterday, yesterday is not present. Only the memory of it is. Eckhart Tolle elaborated this mechanism with precision. Time is useful as a practical tool. You can miss a train, but it is essentially an illusion of the egoic mind. Awakened consciousness operates only in the now. The past is a memory occurring now. The future is imagination occurring now. Both are present moment phenomena, masquerading as separate temporal locations. The future never arrives. When tomorrow comes, it is experienced as now. The future is perpetually postponed, always ahead, never reached, because only the present ever exists. Spiritual seeking perpetuates suffering by projecting fulfillment into the future. I will be enlightened, which sustains the very structure of time and self that must dissolve for realization to occur. The seeker is the obstacle, a temporal entity defined by what it lacks now and hopes to gain later. Carlos Castaneda's teacher, Don Juan Matus, identified the mechanism maintaining linear time, internal dialogue. The constant mental narration of experience sustains the description of the world, the agreed-upon narrative maintaining consensus reality, including temporal sequence. Linear time, in Don Juan's teaching, belongs to the tonal, the describable world of ordinary perception. The voice in your head is always sequencing. This happened, then that happened, and next, this will happen. This narration creates the experience of moving through time from past toward future. When internal dialogue stops, through meditation, shock, or deliberate practice, temporal experience destabilizes. Moments extend. Sequence becomes ambiguous. Past and future lose their grip. This is the natural state of perception before the narrative overlay imposes temporal order. According to Don Juan Matus' teachings, the Nagual, the indefinable, non-ordinary reality accessible to the sorcerer who has dissolved identification with the body-mind, is not bound by time precisely because it exists prior to description. Time is a feature of the tonal imposed by thought to make the inconceivable manageable. By suspending internal dialogue, perception transcends the ordinary flow of time. The Nagual perceives directly, without the mediating narrative that creates sequence. Physicist David Bohm provided a mechanism consistent with mystical reports but framed in terms accessible to scientific understanding. Bohm proposed that reality consists of two orders, the implicate, enfolded, undivided wholeness, and the explicate, unfolded, manifest forms. Time and space belong to the explicate order, features of manifestation, not fundamental reality. In the implicate order, past and future do not exist as separate locations. All potential states are enfolded together in what Bohm called the hollow movement, the undivided flowing wholeness that is the ground of all existence. What we perceive as temporal sequence is consciousness reading the implicate order sequentially, like watching a film frame by frame when the entire film exists simultaneously on the reel. The frames, the moments, appear sequential only because of how consciousness unfolds them into perception. In the implicate order, fundamental reality, everything coexists. This explains why mystics across traditions report accessing knowledge of past and future in expanded states. They are not traveling through time but perceiving the implicate order where all information is simultaneously present. What appears as precognition or retrocognition is direct perception of the enfolded whole, unmediated by the temporal sequencing the ordinary mind imposes. You are not moving through time. Time is what appears when you forget you are the presence in which all apparent movement occurs. The soul does not travel from past to future. The soul is presence. When presence identifies with a body, temporal experience emerges as the framework organizing that identification. When presence remembers itself, time dissolves, not as an event, which would still be temporal, but as a recognition that it was never fundamental. Mystical states, deep meditation, psychedelic experiences often report time stopping or eternity in a moment. Time has not actually stopped. It has been revealed as unnecessary. Consciousness, no longer contracted into identification with form, no longer generates the perceptual grid of past, present, future. The pedagogical function of time is to allow consciousness to explore the implications of separation, limitation, becoming. But it is a veil, not a law. As soon as it ceases to be believed, as soon as consciousness recognizes itself as the timeless ground rather than the temporal form, the veil vanishes. When a memory arises, notice how the memory is happening in the now. The event remembered is not present. Only the neurological experiential phenomenon of remembering is present. Allow a memory to surface. Rather than being absorbed into the memory's content, notice the fact of remembering. Feel where the memory sits in the body. Notice the sensation of memory as a present moment experience. This breaks the illusion that the past is a place consciousness can go back to. The past exists only as present moment memory. No memory, no past. Attempt to stop the internal voice narrating your experience. This may be extraordinarily difficult. The voice has been running continuously since childhood, creating and maintaining the temporal self. When the voice starts, I'm sitting here trying to stop thinking. Notice it and return to wordless awareness. Not suppressing thought, but declining to narrate. Just perceiving without commentary. Even brief moments of success produce dramatic shifts in temporal experience. The narrator is what sequences events into story. Without narration, experience becomes immediate, non-sequential, timeless. Those who realize timelessness in life carry that recognition through death. In both Vedantic and Buddhist frameworks, the after-death state is navigated through consciousness. The soul that knows itself as timeless presence does not go anywhere. It simply recognizes forms arising and dissolving within itself, including the form of the body and the narrative of the self. Bohm's Implicate Order suggests that what mystics call eternity is not endless time, but the timeless ground from which temporal experience unfolds. To realize this while alive is to know death before dying, to recognize that consciousness was never born and will never die because it exists outside the temporal framework entirely. You have been waiting your entire life for a future that will never come, not because circumstances will prevent it, because the future is a mirage, thought projecting itself forward to avoid the immediacy of now. The story of you moving through time from past to future is present moment thinking, nothing more. The soul does not move through time. Time moves through the soul, a perceptual grid that consciousness generates when it forgets what it is and dissolves when it remembers.